Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is Monday night. We are 24 hours removed from WWE Battleground, and Daniel and I are here again representing Mouth of the Mark to review Monday Night Raw. It's January 20th. It's the Raw after Battleground, and man, Daniel, I don't know about you, dude, but from a Mark standpoint, I'm not digging the creative this week, man. I'm not digging the creative going into SummerSlam
Not at
already.
all. Not at all, man. I really wanted to fail the whole show, and I think it would be the first time I've ever failed a show completely. But the Taker segment, made up for it. At least the brawl part did. We'll get to that though. I mean, the opening promo. I mean, it was what it was. Taker is not really known for being a great mic guy, so I wasn't expecting him to blow my mind promo wise. But he delivered to the point. They only gave him 10 minutes instead of 20 for an opening promo, and it was good. So I gave the opening segment a C.
Yeah, I gave it a C. You kind of touched on it, all points there. Taker kept it short and sweet. It was kind of, despite all of the bad that came out of Battleground for us, um, you know, it was refreshing having a 10-minute opening segment and not a 20-minute opening segment, and it was refreshing for the Authority to not be involved in the opening of Raw. So
Yeah.
I took that as a positive
Yes.
out of that segment. And I mean, we could shit on the end of Battleground last night all we want, but I mean, it's Taker. You know what I mean? As a fan,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's fucking Undertaker. So the fan in me is super excited to see him back. I hope he's not just here for SummerSlam. If this is his last run, I hope he got in phenomenal shape. He just has a clean run until Mania, or like at least hits like some of the major pay-per-views until Mania, and then goes out on his shield or whatever. I think that would be cool. But whether or not that happens, that remains to be seen. The Taker segment, I agree. C. Um, so we'll leave that there. Going into the first match, we had Charlotte versus Brie Bella. I was surprised that the first match was a Divas match, and I'm glad that they gave this one a little time. Not an amazing length of time, but they gave it a little time, and Charlotte getting the win over Brie is really good. Um, Charlotte looked pretty good. Brie didn't look near as bad in a singles match with one of the NXT girls as she did in that triple threat last night. Uh, I think it was a little better tonight with it being a one-on-one match. So I gave the Divas match a B minus.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I gave the Divas match a B. I thought it was the second best match on the show. I thought the spots were really solid. The commentary to me was what took away from the match. So when I first started realizing how poor, they were just doing with it and just focusing on the team that was with them in commentary and not focusing on what was in the ring, I tried to just block them out and just watch the match. And I think maybe subconsciously that may have made it better to me. So I gave the match a B to B plus because I thought it was really good. I thought that Brie bumped a lot better. I felt like even her little spots that are normally kind of shaky. I think she's worked on those. So yeah, overall, I feel like we're in the same boat. I maybe gave it like a half a star, like a fraction of a letter grade higher, but I gave it second best match of the night.
Yeah, I took off for commentary. Where you were able to tune them out. I really, and they did the same thing, on the second match too, which we'll get into. But they really only focused on the women that were sitting at the commentary table with them, and they focused less on the match in the ring, only calling the really high spots, quote unquote high spots. But you know, uh, so that kind of took away from it for me. Um,
Yeah.
after that, we had primetime players versus Los Matadores, if I recall correctly. Uh, Los Matadores getting the win after New Day interfered on the stage, which I'm hoping that we don't see like primetime players against some random tag team at SummerSlam. Primetime players in the New Day were putting on some pretty good matches. Um, so I'll be pretty disappointed if we don't see another match between New Day and primetime players at SummerSlam, and have a great match that blows the others out of the water.
Yeah.
That actually got like a C minus to a D for me. I didn't like the ending. The dusty finish got me. I Titus. You know, I don't know if it was because they were in St. Louis last night, but I feel like last night the primetime players were clicking a lot more with the crowd than they were tonight. And it also feels like they were really rushed for time on this match. So that could have hurt it too. There really wasn't a lot of time for Darren to really take some punishment and some heat and then get the really good hot tag in to Titus.
Yeah.
So that kind of took away from it too. What'd you think?
Yeah, I actually gave the match the lowest possible grade you can give it, but also passing it. So I gave it a D minus just because I felt like the primetime players tried to recycle the match they had with New Day, almost spot for spot, especially with Titus, and that scares me. For the future. I don't mind the Matadors getting a win there if you're going to do something with them, but it makes no sense because you could have achieved the same thing and have primetime players win. You could have had the distraction. You could have kept the feud going and had the primetime players win. It's stupid to give the Matadors a win for no reason because we all know you're not going to use them for anything. Now, if they turn around and use them, then I'll eat my words and I'll be wrong. But to me, to me, wins and losses, this is the first time ever in pro wrestling history where, even after like the mid to late 90s when everyone kind of gave it away and they, everyone knew it was entertainment, they didn't try to act like it was, a real sport. Wins and losses still really mattered. And now it's kind of like they pretend or they want to think that they don't really matter, but subconsciously they do build in the fans' minds, and they certainly do in the marks' minds. So I just, I mean, again, it's not the workers' fault. It all could have just been done better. This whole same segment could have gotten the same point across 20 times better, and they honestly picked the worst possible way to do it. So I got a D minus from me.
Yeah, and here's the question: if they do decide to do something with Los Matadores, what do they do? Do they turn them heel, or like what do they do?
Well, they're
And
working
and
heel
who
already. They are heels right now.
are they? Because I couldn't freaking
According to the
tell.
company, they're heels right now.
They were bland enough where I couldn't tell. So I just, it's like, what do you do? Because there wasn't a lot of heel tactics. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there was nothing in that match that made it noticeable that they were heels. They did lucha libre spots. They did WWE lucha spots, and the primetime players did their comeback. And I didn't know. I thought it was just two face teams or a face and
Yeah.
tweener team. Like, and that's a problem. That's a disconnect that you can't have. So, what do they do? Do they just let it be one and done and focus on the new day? Or do they build it up with another heel team? I hope they just say, screw it, and just take the bad booking decision and keep going with New Day, because I don't want New Day to lose any steam, and I don't want primetime players to lose too much steam going into
Oh, that's true,
SummerSlam.
too. I mean, they're definitely going to keep the focus on New Day and Prime Time, at least until the Usos come back, which shouldn't be too much longer,
Should
if
only be a
I'm
couple
not
months.
mistaken. I
Should
think
only
they
be a
should be
couple
back
months.
before Survivor Series.
Yeah,
So
they
I
will.
think that, which means that we're probably going to see a comeback right after SummerSlam. So it makes sense to just extend this angle with them instead of put them into something else. I get that. I just feel like the creative of making that transition, going through that whole thing, it could have been done a lot better to me.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree. So after that tag team match, we had Miz versus Big Show, which kind of turned out as exactly like we all thought it would. A squash for Big Show on the Miz. Um, uh, I think that was a bad decision because I think Miz was the only thing really saving the interest in the Intercontinental title picture right now, and I think squashing him to Big Show really puts a damper on it. I don't know, because I mean it's kind of a double-edged sword because Miz has been getting away so much, like that Ryback not being at Battleground really put them in a tight spot, I think, with this one, because Big Show was already, Miz was already getting away so much. Battleground was supposed to be the payoff, you know?
Yeah.
So something had to happen. It's just unfortunate that it had to be Big Show rather than, you know, I say rather than Ryback, but you know what I mean? Like it makes more sense if it were to be Ryback because Ryback's the face. If you're gonna have
Yeah.
a heel, you know, have your
No, yeah,
face payoff.
absolutely. Absolutely. I think that they're totally missing the boat here. I think this is the best. I think this is Miz's prime, and I think that they're kind of wasting. I'm not saying that he's good. I'm certainly not saying that, Miz is a top 5 guy to me or anything like that. I just think that, knowing what his career has already been in the WWE and knowing where he is now, I don't understand why they wouldn't be pushing him right now when he's working better, when his promos are better, when he is, the saving grace in a big, two big guy clunky style feud. I mean, I failed it totally. The whole segment to me was useless. You didn't have to have it. To me, it was more a segment for him to push Tough Talk and Tough Enough than even for a wrestling angle.
Yeah.
So absolute F from me. F, failed it. No stars.
Yeah, and I didn't like the repeat from Big Show, him repeating what he's been saying, you know? Like
Yeah.
say something different. You
Yeah,
know,
and
or
that's what I'm saying too. It was like, Miz cut this promo about Tough Talk and how being he's the face of Tough Talk. And then, Big Show comes and knocks him out and it's like, yeah, I'm going to be on Tough Enough. And it's like, okay, wow. Like, this is really, really bad. Like, you're trying to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, but you suck at it. Like, it was really bad, man. F, total F.
yeah, I'm in agreement. I'll tell you, I gave this next segment an A. You know, the fan in me just kind of came out with this one, and you're going to disagree because you hated the booking of it and you hate this decision. But Paul Heyman's segment, cutting a promo on Undertaker, you know, on behalf of Brock Lesnar. Taker comes out, you know, appears out of nowhere, the good stuff, and then Brock comes out, and the Attitude Era-esque brawl begins. You know, they fight through the arena, they fight in the back, you know. It was a great Attitude Era-esque segment. I loved it when they did it with Daniel Bryan and Triple H before WrestleMania 30. You know, and I think that's the last really memorable one that I remember where it took a lot of people to pull 2 guys apart. Um, you know, I really liked how they did this. I don't like the direction they're going, but I like what they're doing to get to that point. So I'm thinking that in the 5 weeks they'll win some people over with the idea. It's just, you know, I think right now we're still kind of sour about Battleground, so we're not really coming at it objectively yet, or at least I'm not. I find myself being a little harder on it than I think I should be. Don't get me wrong, I'm still upset, but as a fan, I'm just like, okay, this is cool. I dig it. You know, I gave the segment an A.
Uh, all right. My spiel about this whole thing is that I feel like if they would have done like last night, let's say Daniel has the book, okay? Just it's easier to explain it this way. Let's just say I have the book, okay? And I have the main event last night. I would have done something similar. You want to introduce this whole Undertaker thing. I don't necessarily think it's a good idea to have him work Lesnar again. I would much rather see him come out in the Reigns thing and have a Wyatt thing again. To me, that would have been smarter. But I understand that it's bigger money. You're going to get better ratings with Lesnar. I get that. So if I would have had the book last night, what I would have done is you have the main event, you do everything the same way. You know, you have them go for the F5, 1, 2, bong, light goes out, whatever. But this time, when you lights come back on, Taker's simply standing at the top of the stage, okay? And Lesnar freaks out. He gets crazy about it. He gets out of the ring. He gets counted out. No pin, no DQ,
Yeah.
nothing, whatever. He runs up the ramp to get to Taker. Lights go out again. Taker's not there. Then you do everything you did tonight. Promo with the Undertaker. Have the big fight thing. The whole angle started with this fight. It would have been so much better. It would have been so much better to me. The way last night was just such poor creative with the way it was done that it cheated fans out of a payoff, even from dumb fans all the way to guys like us. You could have done it so much smarter and achieved the same goal again. I just feel like this segment was great, but it was hard for me to not have the influence of last night to judge this. So if this had been the first thing, A+, no questions asked. But because last night was, and this was almost fixing what you had with last night, I gave it a B minus, which is still pretty high considering. It
Yeah.
was it was the best segment of the night by far. But I couldn't give it an A just because of how much they jaded the beginning.
Right. And see, that's my thing. That's why I gave it an A because I realized that I'm being like super hard and I'm still pretty salty about last night. So I kind of eased up and I was just like, okay, I'll give it the A because it was cool as shit. If I if I didn't watch Battleground and I turned on Monday Night Raw tonight and that's the first thing I saw aside from like the recaps, A plus all around. You know what I mean? Like if you missed Battleground, if for some reason you don't have the network and you live under a rock and you don't stream your pay-per-views like all the other marks who can't afford $9.99, you know, just if you watch only Raw, that was an A segment. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So after that was Roman Reigns and Luke Harper, with Wyatt at ringside, and obviously, here's the set for SummerSlam. Ambrose came out to back up Reigns, so I think that'll be our tag match. That'll be another tag match at SummerSlam. Uh, did During the match last night, did Reigns get his arm hurt? I don't remember Wyatt really targeting the arm, but like even before Reigns got to the ring, he was selling that left arm.
I
I
don't
don't
remember that if it did. They may have done something with it, but it certainly wasn't a focal point of the finish for sure, or anything related to the finish. So I don't
yeah,
think so.
yeah, because the only thing I can really think of is that rock bottom thing that Wyatt does. I don't know what he calls it, but it's a rock bottom.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's a
you
rock
know,
bottom throw. Yeah,
Yeah, it's like a bastardized rock bottom and bookend put together. But it's when he did that on the table, I think that's the only thing that I could see him really having to sell that arm for. Um, but he sold that arm. I mean, his selling of that arm was actually pretty good. I didn't hate it. Usually he's pretty cheesy with his sales. He's not Cena cheesy at least. So
right.
um, I gave that match a B. I think it went maybe a little too long for a Reigns match. For a Reigns non pay per view match, I think it went a little too long. Um, but other than that, I mean Harper always puts on good work. Reigns has been impressing me since the build up to Mania, so I gave it a B. It wasn't either of their best work, but it was good work regardless.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the same boat, man. I thought it was best match of the night for sure. And I thought that, I mean, I gave the match a B minus, just because I felt like it was good. The work was good. The angle made sense. Honestly, like I know they got to use Sting, but I really hope they don't. I don't do it. I feel like at this point, Harper and Wyatt with Reigns and Ambrose makes the most sense. It's probably going to be cleaner that way. All four guys know each other really well. They know their styles really well. It would be. I mean, that could be a show stealer for SummerSlam, honestly. So I hope they don't, but they probably will because they make shit decisions these days, and they have no good creative. And I mean, honestly, man, I wish I had some kind of credentials because I honestly do feel like I could help that show, and maybe that's just my ego and my delusion. But I feel like anybody that I know that likes wrestling, that I value their opinions. There's about 20 of you guys. Like any of us should be on that panel. I mean, any of us could do better. Any of us, even the ones I disagree with, Nixon could do better. Brent could do better. Anybody could do better than what they're doing right now, in my opinion. Um,
I think a lot of it, though, I mean, I know you have a panel of like 20 to 25 guys, but at the end, there's only one head to that snake. You know what I mean? And the snake head is where the mouth opens,
yeah,
So
absolutely.
and I it boils down to Vince's decision. I wish the creative team wasn't as micromanaged as I've been hearing that it is. Because I hear it's super micromanaged. Um, so there's always that going against it. Um, I
We just gotta
hope
start a promotion, man.
Yeah, something that branches from Louisiana all the way to Tennessee. We'll start a territory.
That's not that far, man. It's kind of easy, and it's in the South, so it's easy to get people to wrestling shows. But we'll
That
talk
is
about that on a
true,
different
yes.
podcast.
So after Reigns and Harper, we've got Rollins and Cena's little segment. I like that. I can't say that I like it. I liked that Rollins wasn't off of Raw. You know what I mean? Like I hated that he disappeared off of Battleground. I'm glad they kept him on Raw to some extent. I just cannot stand the fact that they put Cena anywhere near him right now. If Cena would have lost to Owens, I might have been okay with it. I
Preach,
might
preach
I
right now.
might. I'm not even gonna say that I'd be okay with it because I might. And it's just the fact that he has that US title on his shoulder and he's out there with Rollins, you know, it's 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 the battle of which title means more at this point, and he's undermining the world title. You don't undermine the world title. I understand that in terms of a wrestler, the wrestler makes the title, not the title makes the wrestler, but do not acknowledge that in front of a crowd and do not belittle the man who is carrying your company right now. I get it. Cena's out there every week defending this title. Rollins is being the sneaky bastard. But you didn't see, like when Jeff Hardy was Intercontinental Champion, he didn't come and talk shit to Edge before he dropped the IC title and then went on to the WWE title. Like, you didn't see that happening. Like, that shit doesn't happen. And I know it's like comparing apples to oranges with Jeff Hardy and John Cena, but I just kind of picked an example out of my head. Um, yeah, I didn't like it. I thought Cena killed the segment, which is odd because usually, I'm used to the last couple of months. Cena segments have been pretty good,
Yeah,
and usually it is Cena pulling his fair share of weight. I just think again the creative for this segment was terrible, and I'm sitting here praying to God that we do not have a Ring of Honor type situation in WWE where John Cena has the US title and he's going to face Seth Rollins. Like, I do not want, I do not need, it cannot exist. You know what I mean? I
yeah.
mean, I hope they don't, but I just it mm, I'll
It's not
I'll
okay.
I'll rage on the internet.
Yeah, I mean, dude. Okay, so many things to say. I mean,
And so little time.
so many things to say. Like, dude, this is it makes. It's not even that it doesn't make sense so much that I mean, you hit the nail on the head, man. If he would have dropped the title to Owens last night and he would have come out for Rollins promo, I would have probably popped for it because the guy has been on an epic train of great matches with great, solid pro wrestling workers. And Rollins is a pro wrestler. Like he doesn't get the chance to show it his whole title reign because he's been a chicken shit heel, which is fine. I like him for that as his WWE superstar role. I get it. It makes sense. I enjoy his title reign. I enjoy what they're doing with him. But I think if they gave him an actual match that he could actually work in and get some offense in and not just be chicken shit, Cena would be the guy to do it because of his track record over the past year or 6 months or however long it's been since Mania that he's been working these guys. But Cena beating Rollins or beating Owens last night with probably the loosest STF of his career on and not only beating him, but with the tap out and the way they booked Owens. I know it's only been 24 hours, but it's just been so bad. They're shit. They build these momentum things like with Mizdow, like they did with Lana, and they get so much heat behind it, huge angle, and then they just shit all over it, like every time. And it's getting unforgivable for me. It's becoming unforgivable. It's becoming hard. I'm getting back to where I was before WrestleMania last year, where I said if Mania doesn't impress me, I'm just gonna watch NXT from now on. And I'm getting back into that same mode, man. To me, SummerSlam is turning into Summer Sham. It's turning into this terrible, terrible, like last-ditch 911 effort to revive ratings before the NFL comes back. And so they're shitting on every story that they've built up till now just to kind of rehash all this old shit so they can get some new ratings from casual fans that aren't going to stay anyway. They're trying to have a quick fix to get outside fans that watched 10 years ago or Attitude Era or whatever just because Undertaker's on TV again. And they're shitting all over everyone that's paid attention, not just smart marks, but even like your dedicated fans that are dumb and hillbillies and hicks, you know, like even them, they're like are pissed off about everything that's happening. Like, dude, you guys are fucking up so bad right now, and I'm livid by it because I love pro wrestling so much, man. I'm so passionate about it, and it hurts me that they build and they get to a point where, you know, before this pay-per-view, I was stoked. I think I texted you and I was like, man, we're turning the corner. After this, it's going to be great pro wrestling until Mania. And they just shit on my hopes and dreams and
Because
shit
you jinxed it, bro.
Dude, I know, man. I know. And I gave this segment an F, and I love both guys. I genuinely do, dude. I love Cena. Everything he's done since Mania has been great, except for last night and except for tonight. It's been great. And I'm sad to call myself a WWE fan tonight, honestly.
You know, Corey and I were talking. Have you noticed that for the last few months, like even Mania, we didn't really care because we thought that the pay-per-views were going to be utter shit. And then the work in the pay-per-views just blew our mind. Like, it was great work. And we were just like, oh, man, that's great work. Like, that's cool. And then we slowly started to expect it. And when we finally expect it out of Battleground, we're like, oh, dude, this is it. This is payoff pay-per-view. You know, it's coming. It's here. Here we go. And the ball drops. You know what I mean? Like, it's like we should just go into every pay-per-view expecting it to be shit and then just be pleasantly surprised at the end. You know what I mean? You know, it just I'm like you, man. I'm frustrated with this segment. You know, and again, it falls back to creative because, like you said, both guys are great. They've been great. They've been money. I mean, Cena's been money for the company for 12 years, you know, but Cena's been money for the marks for the last 6 months. So,
yeah,
you know,
exactly.
So,
It hasn't been that long. That I've approved of his match quality. I mean, and the only other time I felt like he had, like, even in that 10-year career up until now, in his 10-year career, I feel like maybe not two hands, but on all my fingers and toes, I could count Cena's best matches in 10 years. And they were always against great workers that also were great superstars, like HBK, like Edge, like Undertaker, like Booker T. You know, I mean, he had good matches with those guys, but his day in, day out work was shit. It was terrible. I mean, now that he's on the mid card, and I said this before he did it, before Mania, if he goes down to the mid card, I might actually invest in him because I think he might actually get a chance to work with workers that can elevate him. And now I think he's spent the last 6 months building himself up in his head. I think he's arrogant in an innocent way, if that makes sense. I think he honestly believes that he really can hang with the best pro wrestlers in the world. And that's not true. If they don't want to make you look like $1 million. Yes, in the WWE, because you're Vince's boy, you're right. Yeah, they'll make you look great forever. But if you were to go to Ring of Honor by some whim, like if there was some sex scandal or something and you crazily lose your job and went to Ring of Honor, they would fucking kill you, man. Like, they would destroy anything you ever had. Like, and I feel like he doesn't understand. He's gotten to a point now where he's getting cocky again, and he's getting to a point where, yeah, I'm the best no matter what. Like, the way he talked to Rollins in the promo, and you could see in his face, and he almost, like, that business term, like that whole, you know, the champion, you know, the title doesn't make the guy makes the title. That's an old school business thing. That's like deep down shoot kind of thing to say to somebody. And dude, Rollins has all of your lunch money. Rollins holds you by the ankles and shakes you and gets your lunch money. He is so much better than you in the ring. He just doesn't have a chance to actually work because of how he's been booked. You have the mighty book of Vince behind you. So you honestly do, and that's the thing. He is genuine. He is real because he really does believe he is much better wrestler than Rollins. And that
But
is
he's been built
sad
that way.
because it's going to crash and burn. It might not ratings wise, it might not in the superstar universe, but for a pro wrestling mark like me and you, it's gonna crash and burn if he lets the arrogance get to his head. If he lets Rollins carry a match and gives Rollins some offense, it'll be great. But if he tries to be dominant, it's gonna fucking suck, man.
Well, here's to hoping we don't see Cena and Rollins at SummerSlam.
It's
Fingers
gonna happen.
crossed. Shut up.
I mean, that's not jinxing. It's gonna happen. That's what it is now.
I mean, it looks like it, and yeah, I'm done with this segment. We're going to the Divas. Divas tag was after this.
Fair enough.
I like the Divas tag match. I thought I was happy that Sasha got the win. And I'm glad that Paige I'm glad Paige took the loss rather than having Sasha go over Becky. I thought that was smart. Keep making the NXT girls look strong and let the current roster take the hits because the current roster can afford to take the hits while the NXT girls build themselves up. And I think that I think the Divas part I think they swapped it, man. I think they took all the creative that was behind the Divas, gave them all the male wrestlers work, and then took the guys who were booking Cena and Owens for the first 2 months, and the guys who booked the Daniel Bryan angle, and the guys that booked Bray Wyatt, just threw them into the Divas division and said, "Here, make these NXT girls work. Make them work on the big stage." And they did. I feel like they just completely swapped because the Divas matches were two of my favorite matches tonight. And I mean, you don't. First off, we got two Divas matches in one night, dude. I think that's only happened one other time this year on a Raw. Like not just since Mania. I'm talking like since January.
Yeah.
I think that's happened one other time. Um, I mean, the work was good. Becky really took a lot of selling there, and Becky's a great seller. She was great at Takeover. She's been great in NXT at selling. Uh, you know, I gave the Divas tag match a B, man. I gave it a solid B, and for the same reason, that I talked about earlier. Whereas you gave the other one, a higher grade, I gave this a B because of the commentary. The commentary just threw me off, and it threw me off more since it was the Bellas. You know what I mean? Like since it was Nikki and Brie and Alicia on commentary, it threw it out more. It just meh.
Yeah, see, for me, I even wrote this down in my notes. I said that I think Matt and the other marks in our group will probably think that this match was good because it's NXT Divas. But to me, this was a standard WWE. This was the standard WWE Divas match. It just had good workers in it. Like, we like the workers, but dude, the commentary was even worse to me than the first match.
Oh, absolutely.
I felt like again, coming back to that whole thing, about wins and losses do matter, man. They really do. And I feel like, Becky's kind of come off of a few losses in NXT coming up to this. And to have her be the one that takes all the heat didn't make sense to me when Paige has already got plenty of shine. She should have been the one to take the heat. Becky could have benefited a lot more from just a hot tag spot. Even if she got cut off, it would have been smarter to have her be the hot tag to get her over a little bit because you're going to use her between now and SummerSlam. And right now, she looks like the weakest link out of the three NXT girls, and that's not fair. You know what I mean? To me. But that's also me being a mark and overthinking things. I understand that. But to me, dude, I actually failed this segment. I failed it because I feel like, yes, we got two Divas matches, and I'm not being sexist. I felt like this, you got to ease into that. And this Raw shouldn't have had two Divas matches to me. Not saying that you shouldn't have women be the focus. I'm not being sexist. I'm just saying that from the format that we had and the shit that we had with the Divas and the way you've been building this up, it's kind of like blowing your load way too soon on a Raw after a pay-per-view. Maybe if this would have been week 3 of 5 leading into SummerSlam with two Divas matches, it would have made more sense to me. But I feel like they're blowing their load here with two Divas matches, and the way they booked it, it wasn't good to me. The spots were good, the work was good, but it felt rushed. It got a lot less time than the singles match did. So overall, man, and the commentary was so bad, man. God, I mean, God,
Well,
man, Nikki Bella is so bad on the mic, man. God,
yep.
she's so terrible.
Yep, I agree. I agree with the Bells being horrible on commentary. However, your focus point of Becky not getting shine, I think that a lot of that has to do with you've got 9 women that are all going to be working together in an angle in the coming months. So you have to basically rotate which one is getting shine and in which order.
Right,
So
but everyone in that angle either has shine or has clout at this point. Even Naomi, like Naomi got shine, like Paige has the clout. We all know that Paige has been the leader of this new generation for the women. So why not have her take the heat? It would have been much.
well,
I
but I
understand
think
what
that
you're
was
saying. I'm not saying that Becky Lynch is never going to get shine. I'm saying if anyone again, this is a creative thing. It's a nitpicking creative thing. Any of the 50 of us that are in the Wrestle Talk only group on Facebook, add us if you're into it. I feel like any of us would have booked this better. To me, but again, not against the workers. 100% creative, and the commentary was shit. That's why it failed.
yeah, yeah, but I mean that's the same as the whole pay-per-view last night. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't the work, it was the creative. And I think like, from a work standpoint, the match I gave it a B. I think that going forward though, you'll see obviously the Bellas are going to rack up a win, like probably on SmackDown. Like SmackDown, the Bellas will get a win, and then on Raw they'll get another win. You know what I mean? So because they're down 2, so they've got to come back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So and then Becky will get her shine probably too, because they'll probably stick to the format of having because they've got 3 teams. I think because they have 3 teams, the new formula is probably going to be 2 Divas matches in a Raw. Because they have 3 teams, 9 people, and they've got to get it all in 5 weeks. And they like their back and forth bullshit. So, I mean, I can't see them doing just one Divas match every week and then expect all 9 to get shine in a month's worth of build. I don't see it, man. I can't,
Yeah.
you know. Uh, After that, they did 2 tag matches in a row, which I thought was weird. The 6-man tag was the main event, and it was after this. Cena, Cesaro, and Orton versus Rusev, Owens, and Sheamus. Uh, this one here, now this one I failed. I like the end spot because I pop for little sequences like that, but uh, I didn't like that Sheamus and Owens walked out. I think that made both of them look weak. I would have lived with Sheamus walking out because I would have expected it because they always make the Money in the Bank guy look weak. Owens walking out fits the character how he walked out of the past couple of matches other than Cena, but it doesn't fit with trying to keep a small shred of shine on him after tapping out to Cena. Like it just, I'm hoping they don't completely Rusev him. I mean, they Rusev'd
That's
Rusev tonight,
what they're gonna
but
do. Well, I
and
mean,
that scares the
honestly,
crap out of me.
I feel like I jinxed it. I feel like I jinxed it because I said last night that I think that on our simulcast that we did with Pro Wrestling Cast, I kind of jinxed it because I said I think that they're probably gonna use Owens sparingly and might not even give him an angle at SummerSlam because of how much they need to build the takeover. And I understand that, but it bothers me because I know that Owens is going to job at the takeover, and then you're going to have to put him in a new angle. Unless it's a U.S. title tournament after SummerSlam because Cena wins the world title, which I do actually kind of see happening.
They're gonna try to save ratings and go with tried and true. You think?
No, I think that, well, all right, I think one of 2 things is going to happen at SummerSlam with the world title. I think either Cena wins it and he wins it for a little while, like maybe, and actually loses it on a Raw or a SmackDown in Money in the Bank, or Cena is about to win and Money in the Bank gets cashed in. But it's going to happen soon. They want to put the title on Sheamus before Survivor Series, is what I've heard. So, which is shit to me because well, I mean, I understand they want to have a Sheamus versus Lesnar because it can actually be a decent match because you can believe that Sheamus can hold his own, and I understand that makes sense to me physically, logically, that makes sense to me, but you have to do a whole lot between now and then, and you certainly haven't showed me with week 1 what you're doing with Sheamus unless you have a huge SmackDown. But we all know, especially how piss poor Raw ratings are, no one's watching SmackDown, so. Man, I mean, yeah, the whole show I gave an F plus, if that makes sense. Like I gave it like a 68 or 69 out of out of 100 because I feel like I needed to fail the show. The Brock Lesnar Undertaker segment was great. Going back or like having a greatest hits in 5 years, it'll be a segment that will be remembered. It was a great segment, but the rest of the show was drizzling hot shit. I mean, other than maybe two matches that were decent but didn't really tie in, or were either on the tail end or on an upswing of a new angle that like with the singles match with the Divas or with the Wyatt or with the Reigns Harper match. I just felt like the whole show is so poorly booked. I feel like they're scrambling to get ratings up and they're just abandoning all their ideas and just flying off the cuff, and not having Dusty Rhodes in a meeting, you can tell definitely hurts them now. Yeah, I mean, dude, God bless Dusty Rhodes, because I never realized how much he actually still contributed to creative until now. And man, if he was the only thing keeping it from being passable before, I fear that we're in for some gloom times, man. Some really gloomy times between now and Mania. And Mania might be just as bad as like WrestleMania 28 was, or worse, so
We're in for some dining in alleys with pork and beans, I suppose.
yeah.
I didn't completely fail it. I gave it the lowest passing grade as possible. It's a D- on the week for me. And the sad part is the whole reason it's a fail or a barely passing, it's 100% creative, man. Like all of it. Like it's not the work. The work is there.
Yeah,
It's
the work
the
is there.
creative. Which is actually odd, because for the longest time the creative was there but the work wasn't matching up. So uh
Yeah,
now the creative is starting to fall, and uh it's going to be a long football season for these guys if they don't step it up in the next couple of months.
yeah.
um
I
and
literally said that in our group. I said, "Thank God the NFL is starting soon."
yeah, yeah. And with Owens not doing an angle, if they do want to utilize Sting, I mean, do you set something up with a possible Owens and Sting thing? Or I mean, I don't think you would blow your load with Sting on Kevin Owens, but I'm just trying to grasp at straws to get Owens somewhere on that card just for an appearance. I mean, it's SummerSlam.
If
It's
Sting
your
is willing to work and you're willing to do it, I wouldn't mind Owens doing a job to Sting at SummerSlam if it led to a retirement match and Owens going over on Sting at Mania, and then just because that would catapult him for sure. But
I
I
don't
think
think
that the
it's
E doesn't have faith in Sting in singles matches for some bizarre reason. Like they think that Undertaker can carry another atrocious match with Brock Lesnar, which is going to be shit, by the way. The rematch at SummerSlam is going to be garbage. It's going to be hot garbage. It's going to be terrible. But and to me, Triple H Sting would have been great had you not had the biggest dusty finish of all time of WrestleManias in it. It would have been, if they would have given him 5 more minutes, it started off like a great NWA classic pro wrestling match, man, because Triple H can totally work that style. And it was great. But I feel like the E thinks that that's too old and thought his match was almost a dud at Mania. So they don't trust him to have singles matches, which is blowing my mind, man. Like, to me, that's the honest reason that I've heard that they're not going to do Taker and Sting, because they don't think that the two of them can carry a singles match together, which blows my mind. But yeah, I mean,
I
I would
think
love to have Owens Sting in a program, but they're not going to use Sting outside of a tag team unless it's for his final retirement match, and it'll be against Triple H again, or it'll be against somebody that they feel like they have ultimate trust in.
I I don't understand that, man. I know it's 10 years too late, but I mean, Taker and Sting is just something that I think any
It's
mark
money. It's money
it
for sure.
yeah.
And I feel
I
like the
think
match
that
probably would suck, though. I agree with them on that. I do think the match would probably
it
not be very good.
it
It'd
doesn't
be better
matter
than
though.
Lesnar and Taker at 30, but I don't think it would be as good as Wyatt and Taker at 31. So, I mean, I get it, especially if Taker only has one more left in him. You don't want either one guy to go out on a bad note because one guy got too old and forgot a spot. But so I understand that, but It's sad. I feel like if you kept them both off TV and just had them working for 6 months in a ring together on one match that lasted 30 minutes, they could deliver huge. But they won't do
It's
that.
under
So
it's Undertaker and Sting, man. Like if I mean, I'm sorry, but they both know when the money season is. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And like if Triple H and Undertaker, I mean, I'm sorry, if Triple H and Sting can have a pretty good match at Mania, I'm sure that Sting and Taker can put together a passable match at Mania. It's not going to be everything we dream it's going to be. It's not going to be, prime Deadman versus, the Crow Sting. It's not going to be that. But people know that. It's 10 years too late. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, but the fact is people want to see it because it's still a marquee match. It's still a dream match, you know? I mean, that's like all the dream Shawn Michaels matches that people want, like they know Shawn's gone, but they still want to see him because it's still Shawn. You know what I mean? So it's still
Yeah, but the
Sting.
difference is that Shawn could still deliver. Shawn could still go out and have an Iron Man match, I honestly believe. I really believe that he's just one of those dudes, man. He's like he's gonna be like a Tom Brady. I mean, it's a perfect. Like, no matter how old he gets, like Tom Brady's gonna retire, or Peyton Manning, they're gonna retire when they want to retire. Not like dude, Tom Brady and Peyton Manning, as long as they have solid offensive lines, they don't take a lot of hits. They can play till they're 50. They could play till they're 55, 60 if they wanted to. Like, they really could, because they are just that genetically predispositioned to do it. That's Shawn Michaels. He would be great as long as he still has knees and he can still run at any slow speed. He could do anything in the ring, no matter what. I think that guy could still come back and have matches, but I understand the reasoning behind the Taker and Sting matches, because you don't have enough Sting tape on WWE to put that much faith in him. And Taker has only worked well so far in the past 3 years with Bray Wyatt, and it hurts him that he's only been working at Mania. So maybe they're trying to have him at SummerSlam. Maybe they're gonna give him a run if they're gonna
That's
retire
what
him
I'm
in
hoping.
Mania. And if he gets back into the groove of thing, has no rust on him, and can work steady, and they see that he can work steady, then maybe we will get Sting and Taker. But rest assured, if they're gonna put faith in a guy to carry a match, it'll be Taker and not Sting, which to me is probably the bad choice overall as workers, but I understand it being WWE pride.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what it boils down to, man. It boils down to the E being the E, and
Yeah.
Sting is WCW.
Yeah.
But, and even going back to Owens, I mean, you're talking about Sting, the guy who put over EC3, you know what I mean, in
Yeah.
TNA, you know, the guy who tried his damnedest to put Jeff Hardy over until Jeff had his drug issue pop up again. I mean, you're talking about a guy who's not scared of putting over young talent and not scared of letting young talent shine in matches with him while he can still get shine. So I think that if you did a Sting and an Owens looks like $1 million. Sting gets some credibility working a singles match with somebody. I don't see where either guy can really get hurt with it, but I also don't see where it makes sense. You know what I mean? It's a grasp at a straw to get something for both of them. It doesn't make sense.
Well, see, the
So
problem is that to do something like that at this point, coming off of a Taker Lesnar thing, which they are destined to do, then you have to kind of have one be the heel and one be the face. And the logical point would be like, all right, well, you know what? Make Sting the heel. Make him be like, I'm going to rid the WWE of, the reason, like the reason why WCW didn't work or whatever. The guy that, helped put me under, and the guy that, I've always been better. I've always had more, you know what I mean? Like, I could see that, but Sting's never been a heel. He will never be a heel. So, and you can't make Taker a heel on his last run. So there's too many problems creatively that
yeah,
I would hope that they don't screw up. It's better, honestly, for their legacies once they both 10 years after both of their retirements. Sure, it would be a great thing, but it's a good thing that people would just talk about what if we would have had Sting and Taker instead of having it at WrestleMania 32, 10 years too late, and by even if it's only a 10% risk that it would fail. There's no sense in even having that 10% risk when you can have the idea forever. You can talk it
Yep.
signings and Wrestling Hall of Fames forever about the possibility of Sting and Undertaker. Leave it, dude. Leave it in Mystique. It's the best thing ever. It's the biggest internet mark match that's ever happened already in all of our hearts, you know? So leave
Yep.
it alone.
Yep. Yep. I agree. If they can't make it creatively work with one a definitive face and one a definitive heel, and then the end all be all question of who the fuck goes over. You know, do you have Sting go 0-2 at Mania, and do you have Taker go out on his Shield? You know, it's like, it's such a paradox at this point that it's like, how can you? You know, so, but we'll see. We're still
You
six
bring out
months away
Vince
from Mania,
McMahon, and he just stands on both of them, one leg on each, and just like
and
this was like
he
his
blows
like
his quads
crazy like
again.
his crazy laugh, and that's it.
Nah, he
And then he
blows
just
both of
goes
his
back.
quads.
Yeah, terrible. Yeah,
So, but yeah, man, that's gonna do it for us tonight. A shit Raw following a shit pay-per-view after some pretty good Raws and some pretty good pay-per-views in the past. Um, Here's to hoping it was a couple of one-offs, with a one-off bad pay-per-view and a one-off bad Raw, but uh, winter is coming.
yeah.
You know,
Winter is
I just
coming, man.
I have a bad feeling. So, but you know, that's going to do it for us tonight, guys. Monday Night Raw. We'll be back next week. Uh, it's nights like this that makes it really hard to be a Mark and do a show like this. Really
Agreed.
does. You guys have a good week. We'll be back next time as always. Stay safe.